Everybody from confusion over tariffs to the firing of tens of thousands of federal workers to a crackdown on immigration. It has certainly been an eventful and at times, for some, controversial first 100 days in office for President Donald Trump. We've got longtime Valley political consultant Dell'Artino up early to talk about the president's first 100 days. Good to see you back here on Good Morning Arizona.
Good to be in the studio with you guys.
How would you describe his first 100 days in office for Trump 2.0?
I think if you're on the left side, you would say chaos. If you were on the right side, you would say fast acting. It's been a whirlwind of speed and action, probably unprecedented in the history of how fast things have moved in these first 100 days.
How do you think people at home are perceiving this? And I think a lot of it has to do with where you fall on the political spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't argue that the illegal immigration issue has been a home run for him. There are some points that are starting to get a little touchy. And when you get into what I argue is when you get into children, little babies specifically, and women being deported, that gets to be a little bit more sensitive in the electorate. But certainly immigration's been a winning issue for him. The economy has been a stretch, and we're starting to see that happening now with these tariff announcements, which have a huge impact on Arizona, disproportionately to the rest of the country, but specifically to Arizona. We see some uncertainty, and people and voters are not unlike businesses when it comes to these things. Businesses' number one fear is not taxes or more regulation, it's uncertainty. And voters act the same way. So if they don't know the plan ahead of time, they start to get a little bit nervous. And I think we're seeing that a little bit right now on tariffs.
I know some CBS News polling shows that people think that the president should be focusing more on lowering prices and less on tariffs. Do you think we might see a change with the president?
I think we're going to try, but he said it himself very well, and it was shortly after he got elected, controlling inflation is a lot harder than it looks on paper, and that's true, and we're seeing that play out now. So I think there are a number of things you can try to do to reduce prices, but getting inflation under control is a lot harder than it looks.
How would you grade his first 100 days in office?
Oh boy, that's a tough one, but because there's so much out there that I think we still need to see how it plays out, including immigration, including tariffs. But a lot of these decisions are locked up in court cases right now. We're going to have to see how that goes. Certainly, Republicans will probably give them A minus at worst, and I think that Democrats will give them an F, and independents somewhere in the middle are waiting to see. They're a C. They want to see how these tariffs flesh out. Really, the Gen X generation is the ones who are sort of the most nervous right now. They're trying to figure out if they can retire, and I think that he sort of signaled that, look, we're going to look at a little short-term pain for long-term gain, and they know that they have 2 years essentially until these midterm elections for Congress could make a huge difference in his platform. And so I think that the rush is on in those 2 years, and his rush is on to get the Dow Jones back up, S&P back up, and move the economy along.
Marcus, we appreciate you coming in. We always see you during the election season, so good to have you back on to provide some perspective. You've obviously been covering politics and being a political consultant for a number of decades. Scott, we're going to send it over to you. We do want to mention that the president will be having a rally tonight in Michigan to cap off his 100 days in office.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.